Okay, we are here at least having fun of my mistakes with the technology. Oh.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to our live today, Monday, the first of the month. Can you believe it already?
Yes, already. Oh my
First.
God, I know.
So
Blessings to all.
welcome. So, welcome to Journey to Consciousness. Please come and get your tea, your coffee, your hot chocolate. Where we at is pretty chilly and windy, so we are drinking our teas and our hot chocolate. So please come and join us as we're gonna talk today about a very different
Yes,
but
topic.
interesting topic,
Yes.
which is emotional gaps.
Emotional gaps. My dog is here around and my son too. Do you guys mind giving us a moment?
And this is family life. As we do this with family, and we have our children doing what they need to do. So it is what it is, and we enjoy it.
It is what it is. Yes, definitely. So Janet, welcome to February already.
Yes, same here, Maya. I am Janet Luciano.
And I am Maya Ariel Sol.
Welcome everyone to February 1st.
And welcome to Journey to Consciousness.
Journey to Consciousness.
Yes, here we are. We are going to be here with you every Monday at 7 p.m. That's where we commit to be with you and to share some information that might bring some light to your path, and to sometimes we feel like blocked, or we have these things that we are feeling, we don't know where they come from, or those thoughts that we don't know where they come from. So here we are in Journey to Consciousness, a possibility for you to find maybe those limitations and say, oh, I didn't know, but that makes sense. Maybe that's what's happening to me. And that's our intention, to be here to help you grow and expand and unblock those limitations and to find what it is. That's why we are bringing this topic today of emotional gaps.
And I personally really do love this topic because it is something that I wasn't even aware, didn't even think about it. I remember when Maya first mentioned it, it took me a while to even understand it. And, I will say that I have been working on this journey to consciousness for quite a while now. For quite a while. It's one of the tools that I do in my journey. And this one was totally a new one for me. I absolutely found it very fascinating.
Yes, it goes very deep and
extremely deep.
Not many people is aware of it because we tend to think that our childhood is in our past and that we are already adults and that what happened is there. But as I always say, our past, if it hasn't been resolved, it is still present as yesterday. So we need to go back to that past to understand what is happening within ourselves, where these feelings of emptiness come from, because the gaps, the emotional gaps, are pretty much emptinesses that we don't know how to fulfill.
And I have to say, because I remember when Maya would say to me, Jenna, you have to look at your past. I would look at her and, what you mean look at my past? To feel what in my past? And I'm going to let her really elaborate how those emotional gap really begins in your past. Yes. And people say just live in the present, and I agree. The present is the present, and yes, live in that. But we also need to understand the past, because a lot of times, I know in my case, I was recreating different patterns, recreating different limited beliefs because I didn't understand different aspects of my past that led me to these emotional gaps that Maya's going to go into a little bit of detail with.
Yes.
And I'll let you begin with that.
Thank you, Janet. Yes, that was very well presented. And that's what it is. We need to go back to our past to be able to change our present. And you said something that, yeah, I know many people that says, yeah, but I'm keeping myself positive and I keep affirming that good things are going to happen in my life, and I keep my thoughts in positive, I'm in positive mode. Still, those emptinesses, you cannot change them by just thinking positively. It needs a different approach, and that's what we are going to be talking about today. So, to begin, everything started again in our childhood, where those feelings, because I am sure that at certain point in your life, you have felt some sort of sadness or loneliness, depression, anxiety, all of these emotions or all of these feelings have a background. And sometimes we don't get to recognize where the background is and how that happened. And mostly is related to our childhood. When we were children, even since we were in the womb, we were feeling that certain things didn't go the way maybe we expected as children. Because we were expecting more love, we were expecting more attention, we were expecting maybe acceptance, approbation, or rewarding in somehow from our parents, and maybe that didn't happen. And when it didn't happen, it created a sort of an emptiness. It's like I'm not worth it. I don't know, but maybe my parents don't pay attention to me because maybe I'm not worth it enough, or because I'm not doing it right, or because I'm not good enough. It's just, it has different, it depends on each person. We all have different wounds to heal. And depending on that wound, you must have gone through experiences that led you to think that way, to have that perspective of I wasn't given this. It could be love, acceptance, or whatever it was, but you feel that you weren't given that by your parents first. Because we're going to talk about where the emptiness comes from, and the root starts with our parents.
So what's interesting is that all this was actually created in the past.
In the past.
And it was, but we are not aware.
No.
We are unconsciously bringing it into the future.
Yes.
And we are living our adult life and a future life according to what we created unconsciously through observation in our past.
Exactly. So I'm going to give you just a little example for you to understand. Along these days, I had a guy who he sent me a text saying that he had issues with depression, that he couldn't understand why he was feeling so depressed, and that he has a beautiful wife and a beautiful family, but he still doesn't understand why he feels or this deep state of sadness. And then later, he wrote me a long text about his life, and he said, I need help, of course. That's why he was texting me in Messenger. And he said, and I was adopted. So when he gave me that little clue, I was like, so let's talk a little bit about this, for example, this case, where this emptiness can come from. Where is the root of his deep depression? So in this case, when a child feels that my parents didn't want me, or my parents, I wasn't good enough for my parents to keep me. But this baby doesn't know that maybe the circumstances at that moment weren't good enough for the parents to keep this baby, and they decided to give this baby in adoption, or they thought that was the best way for this baby to survive or to have a better life. But for this baby, right, the parents is like the first connection to life. And if I don't have that connection to life, then I feel disconnected of everything, because mom is the one who nurtures, who gives you this sweetness and nourishing and love, and the father gives you this strength. And if you don't have those, then you feel like you don't have that, you don't have anything. Even if life brings you a lot of blessings, you don't see them because you haven't been able to connect with those two parents. And that emptiness, that gap, is going to be there until that person recognizes this truth, let's put it this way, and until this person doesn't integrate like his, in this case, it was a man, his real biological parents in order to grow. If we don't fulfill those gaps, we cannot grow. We stay children and we seem adults, but we are seeking outside in others, especially in my partner, for that, to fulfill that gap that I thought that I wasn't given as a child.
So what's so interesting is that even though his adopted parents could have been the best parents,
Yes.
totally give him full love, full
Yes.
attention,
Yes.
everything that he needed, he didn't realize that he was still missing that original love that can only come from his true mom and dad, biological mom and dad.
Mhm.
So in his consciousness, that's the gap. He is missing that love, and he's missing his biological parents.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and even though he can have the best with his actual family that adopt and love him,
Mhm.
there's an emptiness.
It is an emptiness
There's an
that is not
emptiness.
going to get fulfilled until you don't. It's called you take your parents, you integrate your parents. So we do that in constellations, of course. You get to understand how the order, because there is an order in the universe and there is an order in the system. And if we don't feel that we are in that order, then that creates a sort of imbalances for us, and we don't understand where they come from, of exactly these emotional gaps that people are aware of them and they try to fulfill with other things. That's another point I want to talk about today, how people tend to fulfill those gaps.
So, in other words, you tend to become the seeker, but you're just trying to fulfill an emptiness through gaps.
Yes.
And you keep recreating scenarios,
Yes.
you keep recreating experiences,
Yes.
and you're not even aware.
No. And none of those is going to fulfill what I called the canister of love.
Exactly.
The canister of love. We all have a canister of love. And if this canister of love is not fulfilled, then I have a gap. And then I need to look for whatever it is that I need in order to fulfill this. But if I have this deep, deep, deep emptiness from the beginning, then nothing can fulfill that canister of love. And so I have to look outside for different things. And one of them can be, for example, relationships. I'm trying to look for my mom or my dad who wasn't there for me. And that emotional gap, I'm trying to fulfill it with others. So I find that maybe in my partner relationship, I'm trying for my partner to fulfill that part that wasn't fulfilled by my parents. And that's not going to happen because that's not how it works. Our partner is not to be fulfilling that emptiness. Our partner is to grow together and it's a different dynamic than the parents and children, different than relationships of couples, for example. I was going to say in space, for example. So that's one of the ways that people want to fulfill this emptiness, these gaps.
You know, one of the things that I know in my experience, just listening to you speak about emotional gaps, is that I always felt like I needed approval. like for this to be
Approval.
approved, for this for
Yes.
that to be approved. And no matter how well I did in school, straight A's,
Mhm.
4.0 when I went to college and all that, there was always an emptiness that I didn't understand what it was.
Yes.
And then when I did get the opportunity to speak with you, Maya, I understood that I was seeking the approval that my parents, not that I'm blaming them, they just didn't know at the time. I was seeking the approval from them for them to tell me, Janet, you can do this. I'm proud of you. I was seeking, so then when I grew
The
up,
recognition.
the recognition.
That's an emptiness. That's a
Yeah,
gap
right.
emptiness. The
So-
recognition.
Exactly. So then I wanted to get it from my spouse. And so after speaking and
Before you
working,
continue,
yeah,
did you find it from your spouse?
and I did not find it from my spouse.
There you go. You cannot find it somewhere else.
But
You
I
have to
wasn't-
go to the root.
And I wasn't
of-
even aware.
Yes, you
I
have to
wasn't
go
even
to the
aware.
root of it. I'm so glad you shared your story
Mhm.
because, yes, you tend to look for it in your partner relationship, mostly, and mostly on your partner, your husband or your wife, because most people confuses love with this sort of, oh, I need this needs. I need this person to give me this because I don't have it. And you cannot even recognize what is that you don't have. But you have something that is missing within you. And then you think that maybe if I marry this person, I will have it. And you are expecting, the word expecting, this other person to give it to you. And that doesn't happen. And it's not for the other to give you that. That's not the right order to get that. The order for you to get that is to integrate um, where the root of the beginning of what happened. We need to find what it was that gap and fulfill it. And by now that we are adults, we need to do it as adults because we do have that love within. We just cannot recognize it. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. There is a bigger love than the one that our parents gave us. And they gave us enough because they gave us our life. And that's a lot of love. We just don't see it that way because we were maybe expecting more. And that's only one of the ways that people look to fulfill those gaps, and it's in relationships. That's why people cannot find one person. They need to go and find another one and another one. They are always looking to fulfill that canister of love here and there and there and there through or with other people, not only one, but maybe many. And at the end, they see that the emptiness still there. Yes.
And then we put, like, in a sense, too much of a high expectation in the relationships. That can be a little draining as well
Yes.
because we're seeking to fill that canister.
And it's frustrating when you may be expected from your partner and it doesn't come. That you are expecting the other person to give it to you and the other person don't do it and you blame it on that person instead, but you're not giving me the attention that I need, the love that I need, the approbation, the approval that I need, the acceptance that I need. So the word that I'm using here is the need. Who needs that? Who is the one who really needs that love and that attention and that approbation? And that's where we are going. Little by little, we are getting to a little person that not many people is aware of it. And that is our inner child.
That is the only person that can fill in that gap.
Yes.
No matter how much you seek to it through other people, through other experience, you have to come back home, like I call, to that baby, that inner child in you, and become aware, and then he or she will help you fulfill
Yes.
that canister.
Yes.
And Anna and Maya, she will explain different ways on how you can really approach to get that fulfillment that only you can give yourself. Only you can give it to yourself.
Yes.
And it
At
starts
this
with your
point,
inner child.
yes, definitely. And that inner child, to find what it is that you are connected, what energy, what missing energy, because you're missing an energy of something. What is that need of your inner child that is making you feel that you have this emptiness? And usually when we do constellations, we go back to find the memory that created that emptiness. Because there is a memory that created that emptiness, whether it was because of abandonment or rejection, or there are many causes, like there are many roots, possible different ways that why you got to feel this emptiness as a child. But we need to find the memory when you felt that way for the first time, because that memory is not in the past. That memory is still as present as today. So, for example, if you felt as a child rejected, let's say rejected, and maybe now as an adult, maybe maybe you are at work and maybe your boss tells you something and you feel rejected. What you are experiencing in this moment is not the rejection from your boss, but your rejection from one of the parents, for example. It could be from your mom or from your dad.
So what the boss did when he rejected you, he reminded you of that memory.
Yes.
Even though you might not be aware.
Yes, the memory, boom, awaken.
It awoke.
Yes.
So now you start looking at it. You can take it, oh, look what he did. He rejected me, but there's an awareness. Maya says, and we said that it pulses in you. It gets triggering you.
It's a triggering. Yes, it's the triggering is the rejection for this person, and it just wakes up. And since we are not aware of it, we tend to blame it on others. So you would say, "My boss rejected me." See, because you don't understand that it's not the boss in this case, but it's you. You have a wound of rejection and you haven't figured it out. You have to find out which is your wound and what are your needs, what are the emotional needs or emptiness from your inner child that you need to fulfill in order to grow. Otherwise, most of our relationships are based on those wounds and how we feel when we feel this way or another, rejected, abandoned, betrayal. There are men humiliated. I felt like that wasn't fair. And all of these things that I feel is not the others, but you.
And all this is being created because of that gap that needs to be filled again.
Yes.
So you will continue to create. That's what's interesting about this. That you will continue to create scenarios and patterns about what you're missing in your life until you're fully awakened.
Yes.
And you can start healing that wound.
Yes. That's the way to transcend those memories and the ways to, that's a good beginning, recognizing what it is, where this comes from, what were the needs of my inner child that still affect me today, and how they are affecting my relationship. And then you decide, if you decide, you can transcend them maybe by constellation work, which is amazing because what I like about constellation work, family constellations, is that it doesn't go to understand the problem or the issue. It goes straight to change the feeling. Because if we don't change the feeling, nothing is going to happen. But understanding is not going to do any difference for you. That's all I want to say, because most people, oh yeah, my parents did this and that and that, and that's why I feel this way and whatever. And I forgave them because they say I forgave them. That when they come to constellate, the whole emotion comes up and then they can release it. And they have a better comprehension of why things happen that way. Because constellation allows us to see that the circumstances were that was how it was, not because they wanted something bad for us, that it was what it was. They couldn't do it better or worse. It was just how it was. And accepting that is one of the first steps to transcend these memories.
Accepting that they did the best that they knew how at the
Mhm.
time.
Mhm.
And one of the beauties of that I have really found and enjoy in the constellation is that the healing happens at the emotional level,
Yes.
at the creation, because you go back to that creation, and then now you can have a conversation
Yes.
with that creation, and then there you can find the peace and the healing and the closure
Yes, the
that
closure.
that you would need in order to now move forward.
Mhm.
And the way I like to say, change that reality in your life.
Yes, definitely. It will change your reality, the way you connect with others, the way you connect with life, the way you relate with others in a mature way. Not as that child expecting others to give you, or expecting or giving too much. Oh, let's talk about giving too much. We actually gave an example last time of someone who was giving too much. Why do you give too much? That's also, there is a behind the scenes of this person. There was an emotional emptiness. I need to give you, give you, give you, because I want you to stay with me. So if I have a need, take a look at that. If you have a need, just be aware that that's not healthy.
And like you say also, if you're doing too much in excess, too
Giving
much of
too
the
much.
same thing,
Mhm.
also pay attention.
So lack and excess of things, both of them are not healthy. Only until we get to the middle point, we get in balance and understand our emotions and where those emotional emptiness and gaps come from. And for that, we need to, the only way is to go and see and meet that inner child within, and see what it is that I felt that is creating in my life all of these conflicts. Because the inner child, when it hasn't been healed, it creates a lot of conflicts in our life. It's not you, the adult. You don't want that to happen. The conscious adult, that conscious adult don't want you to go through what you go through. But that inner child is always creating, manipulating, victimization. All of these things that happen within ourselves are happening because we are not aware of the needs of our inner child.
That's how they talk to us through those experiences. That's how they awaken us through
Yes.
those experiences.
Yes.
And that's why family constellation is such a wonderful tool, because it just takes you there to the
Yes.
roots. It takes you to the creation.
Yes.
And it helps you through your own words,
Mhm.
through your own experience, to put closure to it
Yes.
and heal it
Yes.
and move forward.
Yes, because not only it affects your relationships, but it also can affect other aspects of your life. For example, let's say that if I don't have a relationship or someone to fulfill that need, then I look outside for something else. So maybe it could be alcohol or drugs or porno or smoking, whatever it is that you need to fulfill it with something, because that kind of state of love cannot be empty. And that's why you are always looking to, oh, food. Food is one of the big ones. People who eat a lot or who don't want to eat is also a lack of that. Lack and excess, they are always playing in that game, let's put it in that dynamic of the fulfilling the kind of state of love, too much or too little. And those two is that I didn't have, then I need more.
And
Or
you,
I, or
I was
yeah,
gonna say you would do that on automatic. It would be
exactly.
automatic.
Mhm,
A lot of times I would say I would take food for example.
mhm.
You eat without even realizing. We call it, I'm emotionally eating. I'm emotionally eating, but why?
Yes.
Why are you emotionally eating? So that's when we have to sit back. But that's what they call it. That's the label. So we just, okay, we're emotionally eating. But now look at it. Why are you emotionally eating? Why are you shopping too much?
Yes,
Why are
shopping
you
is another
drinking too
one.
much?
Yes, shopping is another one. I need to fulfill this emptiness.
Feel good.
Feel good.
Feel good.
And that goes to the biological part, which is that if I buy, I feel so good that I get this oxytocin going in my body. The same with relationships. If I get, for the first time, when you meet someone, you feel this oxytocin running in your body, and you're like, oh, that feels so good, and you want to be high all the time. So you need more of that, and that's how you create addictions.
Mhm.
That's where addictions come from. The oxytocin is like, it makes me feel good. It fulfills my gap, but it doesn't. In reality, it doesn't. So we wanted to share this for you to be aware of what is your need and how you are fulfilling it. And with who? Who are you asking, or what are you looking for to fulfill your emptiness that is out there, and that is not the right place, because the right place to fulfill that is within you.
And it's only within you.
It's only within you. So I don't know, I just feel like maybe we should just do a little exercise here for people to
Get a little taste.
get a little taste of what it could, how you can fulfill these emotional gaps. So let's begin by sitting and relax for a moment and take a deep breath and exhale. And just think of a moment from your childhood where you felt that you had a need that wasn't attended. The first moment that comes to you, that's it. Just trust that that moment needed a transcendence. And now that you are seeing that at that moment you felt this, it could be sadness, or it could be anxiety, or fear, or insecurity, whatever it was that you felt, just see yourself in that moment. And now you're gonna connect with your mom and with your dad. Your mother and your father are now in front of you. And you are not going to see mom and dad as you used to see them. You are not going to see them with that personality they had, with the things they do or they think about. No. You are seeing your parents from a neutral perspective, without their personality. You are seeing in them just a mother and a father who one day met in life for you to come here. They made an agreement for you to be here, and that was made before you guys came here. So they came first and you came after. And life aligned this meeting for you to be able to be here. They were your channels of life. And since life is so big, love runs through generations from the origin, all the way from the original parents, through your parents, all the way to you. And feel that that love that creates life from a masculine and from a feminine runs all the way from the origin, through all the generations, until your mother and your father, and all the way to you. And feel how this mother and this father approach to that child that you are. And feel how they embrace you, they hold you, they hug you. Feel your mother and feel your father. Feel their presence. and the original love that came with them for you to be here. And allow yourself to fulfill your heart, your canister of love with this moment. Allow that child to feel this love from his or her parents. And since this child now is getting that canister of love fulfilled, he's starting to grow as an adult. And you become a teenager and a young person and then an adult. And your parents were hugging you, and now you are almost the same height as them. And now that you feel this fulfillment, you take one step back and you see them and say this: Dear mom,
Mom,
dear dad, thank you for the life that I was given and for this love that I just received. I honor you. Bow to them in gratitude with sincerity. And now say this: Dear parents,
dear parents,
that was all I needed from you. Thank you. With this, I can continue forward towards a different destiny in my life. And in that visualization, you can turn around and leave your parents behind and start walking towards life. See in front of you a long path, a bright path, and embrace that path of light and life and love. Take a deep inhalation, exhale,
thank you so much, Maya. Wasn't that absolutely beautiful? Absolutely beautiful. I feel such peace and such completeness in myself. Thank you.
thank
I
you
hope you all enjoyed it.
Yes,
Absolutely wonderful.
with all of my love. I wanted to share this little exercise for you to start tapping into that inner child, because that inner child needs you, needs the adult in you. Thank you all for being here,
Yes, thank you.
for participating.
As you can see, I'm totally into it so much. I'm like, oof.
Yes, I
Yes,
feel now
enjoy.
in this peace.
I feel so calm and so peaceful, and that little girl in me is happy, happy, happy. She's like, "Thank you, Janet. Thank you, thank you, thank you."
Yes, she can run now with her
Yeah.
canister of love all
So-
fulfilled.
Such a sense of peace. Thank
Yes, it is. So before we go, I want to invite you to experience constellations. family constellations work. If you haven't done so, I do one-on-one sessions, and I also do group sessions online and on site. And if you want to dive deeper, because I know some warriors that say, oh, I
Absolutely.
want more of that. I need more of that. And that I want to invite you for a weekend workshop that I will be doing here, part of a family constellations training, where you will be able to heal as you learn, and eventually maybe you can become a facilitator for others. So that's the beauty of constellations. As you learn and you experience, you heal, and eventually you might decide that that could be a way to help others. We all came to help somehow. So if you haven't found that way, or if you are a coach or a therapist or a healer, welcome to join us. I wanted to invite you. It's happening this weekend, and you can do it online or you can do it also on site if you live in the area of Orlando, Kissimmee. And I'm going to leave the link here for you to register if that is your call, because that is the call. You feel it. It's like, yeah, I want to do this. And if it is, welcome to the tribe. It'll be an honor for me to serve you and to guide you and to facilitate this process, this beautiful process of transformation for you.
And wonderful deep healing, because it is such a beautiful transformation and deep healing.
Yes. So thank you, Janet, for being here.
Thank you, Maya, for allowing me to be here.
I so love Janet here because, of course, as you notice, my exuberant accent in English. Sometimes I have the ideas, but she organizes my ideas very well. So I so love it when that she's here next to me. It makes me feel like, okay, what I'm trying to say, if she understood, then people is going to understand it.
Absolutely.
I'm also breaking my limitations of even language to communicate and to share this beautiful message and experience of love.
And the way I tell her, when there's love, there's no language barrier. I'm
Definitely,
sure
definitely.
we all understand it, and it is such a joy and honor for me to be here with you. I love doing this service. I love bringing this to the people. I love the awareness. So I say thank you for taking the time and doing such a beautiful service. Thank you for allowing me to be here with you as I learn. And thank you to all of you for coming and joining us today. It really is a true pleasure.
Yes, thank you so much for being here. We'll see you next Monday.
Same time.
Or hopefully, if you decide to, we can see each other on the weekend for the first level of family constellations. It's called the Orders of Love. Are you following the Orders of Love? Actually, I made a video about it, a recording for people to see if you're following the Orders of Love. And I'm going to leave the link here so you can also take a look of that video. And if you resonate with it, with information, and maybe with wanting to know more about it, then join us for this weekend's training. And we'll be so happy to have you here.
And like the way I say, take the healer deeper.
Yes, take that healer deeper. The seeker and the healer.
We are brave and we are courageous.
Yes.
We're ready.
We are ready.
Ready, warriors, the way I say.
All right, everybody. Thank you for coming and participating and being so present. We love you so much. We are sending you hugs and love.
Always.
And blessings.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.